Hello, folks, and we are live. This is a season finale showdown between SFG of the Indie Scooters and Crucify of the Stark Sharks. We have a Infernape lead and a Dragonite lead staring each other down. Crucify's lead looking a little favored here against the Infernape. Infernape is probably going to have to U-turn out of this, most likely, if he has it. And SFG does just that. If you're wondering where PCal Suite for you is, he is playing SV this week for the Scooters. So they've kind of made a lineup decision to kind of move him elsewhere and have SFG fill in the role. SFG last time he played filled in admirably. Megros is brought out, probably anticipating a Draco Meteor, but instead he's going to see the Crucify's Dragonite just dragon dancing up and possibly threatening an EQ, which is probably going to do a lot to his Metagross, so bit of a weird turn, as Crucify could play it straight, click what he sees in front of him, or he could try to predict something like a Lottie switch in, or like Flygon switch in, and click Outrage or something like that. But Latios is in fact brought in, probably bluffing Scarf potentially, as that EQ whiffs. And SFG bringing a very offensive team here, maybe some kind of hyper offense, something that he does love to bring a fair bit. And again, for both these teams, the Stark Sharks and the Scooters, they are going to need wins if they want to secure their spot in the playoffs. I believe the Sharks are like in third place going into this beautiful Sunday, but that could easily change. As for Scooters, they're like kind of outside looking in. They need some wins, but they're going to need some other things to go their way too, even if they do win. That said, though, a lot of clock burning down. Crucify, trying to think about how he wants to approach this. For SFG, he has to be careful of a potential pursuit trap and doubles out, anticipates a Tyranitar entry, which he does exactly that. Metagross is brought in, and Metagross is probably going to be able to get Stealth Rocks up, but this could also be something like Dragon Dance Tyranitar. Like maybe Crucify's got some kind of Dragon Dance spam going on his team. Some more clock being burned down. I mean, if you're SFG, do you just mash something right now? Like just click mash and just do nice strip damage to whatever comes in? Or do you just get rocks up, anticipating switch out? Personally, I'm probably getting my rocks up so that you can limit the Dragonite's longevity, because that Dragonite could be a real pain in the neck, especially if you're not careful. And the Tyranitar set is not definitive, I will say that much. It could be something like a mixed tar with, say, Chocolate or whatever. Fire Punch is shown. The Metagross gets burned, which is rather unfortunate. And okay, turns out it was lefties, so Crucify getting a big break there. And SFG off to a pretty iffy start, getting some bad fortune going his way, and more clock is being burned up as we speak. That being said, though, Crucify's had a respectable campaign in DPB this season. As for SFG, he's been supporting John behind the scenes, and he hasn't really had to, or really just hadn't gotten much of a chance to play this season, but when he has played, he's made it count. Last time he played was like a couple weeks ago when he had to sub in to play against Ladybug. Got the Scooters' DPP slot, their first win of the tour. And since then, they've kind of gotten it together. SFG down to 120 seconds. Crucify is already down to 150 on his clock. So yeah, if you're SFG, it's like, do you switch out? Like, where do you go to? And for Crucify, it's like, are you just gonna let the EQ rip, or like Fire Punch rip, whatever? And Fire Punch is in fact ripped, so maybe Crucify does not have Earthquake on this Tyranitar, but I would say this Infernape could potentially be like, maybe like Bandit 8, because I think that U-turn did lots of damage to a Dragon Knight that probably doesn't have any defense dropping features, especially if it's Dragon Dance. So could be looking, yeah. I mean, if it's like a CB8 bleed, like that'd be very interesting. Dragon Knight is brought in, and okay, ouch. The Dragon Knight just goes down, does 58%. I wonder what the true damage on that was. Azelf is revealed in the back. That's not something you see a lot in DPP. Normally, if you see an Azelf, it's usually like in the lead slot. Maybe it's CB, maybe it's just rocks with like T-Wave explosion, stuff like that. So it could be like nasty plot, but okay, rocks are brought out. Did Crucify just bring a team with like triple Dragon Dance and then just swap the leads? No, I'm gonna laugh. That's actually super funny if you did that. But again, we don't know what this Azelf set is. Like it showed Stealth Rocks out of nowhere, so. And then SFG saying test, maybe his internet's like lagging a little, so he's just trying to do a lag test. Switches out here naturally, and SFG is threatening a Dragon Dance with his own Tyranitar, and Crucify's own Tyranitar is in real danger now. Like, no, but if you're running, yeah, no, Crucify's team has to have a DD tar check. Like, you cannot be running like hyper offense, like DD spam, whatnot, and not have a DD tar check. So maybe there's a gear in the back. It can work as a soft check, especially if you're anticipating, say, something like a earthquake coming in from opposing Tyranitar. So that's like something that would be a possibility. And like just for what it's worth, like most Tyranitars can't fit a rock move in on the Dragon Dance set, so just keep that in mind, folks. And Crucify is down to, I believe, 60 seconds now, so he's got a minute to make a decision. Aqua Tail. That's an unusual move on Dragon Dance Tyranitar, so I think generally the idea with Aqua Tail on DD Tar is that it lets you hit Hippowdon while still being able to hit Heatran and Gliscor all at the same time. Like, that's the reason why you're using it. It also does even more damage to, say, something like a Rhyperior. But I don't think Crucify has used Rhyperior, so I highly doubt that's the main driving factor for SFG bringing Aqua Tail Dragon Dance Tyranitar, and has to switch out anyways. Yeah, so like you could do something like Aqua Tail plus Elemental Punches normally, like say Fire Punch on DD Tar, so there's some natural synergies there, and Latias is swapped out to eat this Waterfall from the Gyarados, which is looking to be a Wakan Berry. A bit unusual, and Return is used and does just enough to KO SFG's Latias. So there goes like the Azelf check, or Revenge Killer really, but if it was Scarf, and if it's Ren T-Bolt, usually Scarf. Wakangira, a bit of a unusual choice on this kind of team, especially when you're not running lead Azelf. Yeah, no, seeing the Gira being Wakan like just makes me more convinced that that Crucify just took a triple Dragon Dance team and then just swapped the leads. Which is like probably the laziest thing you could do, or if you just want to disguise your team or whatever, but you have a funny brain, and that kind of tactic is very much legitimate. Anyways, the Reflect here does allow the Azelf to live an explosion from the Burn Metagross, so that RNG coming back to work in his favor, and Azelf taunts the Tyranitar naturally. You don't want to let the Tyranitar just kind of go off, and yeah, Crunch is in fact shown, so this might be DD Crunch, Fire Punch, Aqua Tail, Tyranitar. Anyways, yeah, as for the screens are up, so Kingdra is brought out as the Revenge Kill possibly against the DD Tar that is taunted, but interestingly enough, I think that this Kingdra is probably Dragon Dance. PKC will tell you how much he hates Dragon Dance Kingdra, and to be honest, I'm also not the biggest fan of that Kingdra set in particular, but I think on screens this is probably one of the rare instances where I could say, like, sit down and say, yeah, you know what, this works, right? Anyways, yeah, DD is shown on the Kingdra, so DD Kingdra behind the screens, interesting choice. And the Tyranitar tries to crunch to just get some chip damage. And didn't do a whole lot, but the Waterfall is going to kill the Tyranitar on the way out. If your SFG, like, surely there has to be something that he can use to kind of bait out maybe a second Spike Immune. Might be brought out to try and lure the outrage. Yeah, so some clocks burn out. Rotom Wash is shown. What are the odds this is double Scarf Rotom? I personally, double Scarf setup with like Scarf Lottie and Scarf Rotom. I honestly doubt this is the case. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. Like, maybe this Rotom is something, maybe like a John build with like Choice Specs Rotom. Who knows? That's something that I could see happening, but this Kingdra here probably should just let the Waterfall rip, or he's got DD. Okay, yeah, so just opts to Outrage, which is a interesting decision, and Lucario would go to be last, so this looks like a team that Pikel, sweet for you, certainly had a lot of say in helping modify. One that he loves using a lot, and SFG's also use it here today. And Lucario's just got Sword Stance here. Take advantage of this Kingdra. One turn of screens left. Doesn't quite kill due to Reflect still being active. And the Kingdra's going to go down. Crucify's last has to be a steal here. Fernape brought out, and the steal, in fact, turns out to be Jirachi. Jirachi eats a Flare Blitz from the Infernape, and SFG is going to walk away with this. He's going to finish his season 2-0. Crucify loses this one. But interesting team from Crucify. Like, you have the one Steel type, and then you have like two Iron Hit resists in Kingdra and sort of Gira. So interesting choice all around. SFG's team pretty cool. Looks like a build that John made. Well, it could very much be SFG's own thing too. Not too sure, but a very entertaining game, very offensive game too. And you know, I honestly had a lot of fun watching this. That being said though, if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.